Let's go Jeff, Jim Utter, and then we'll end with Jake because he's got to get to the car. Go ahead.
Jeff Gluck from SBNation.com. Denny, last night when you got hit in the last turn there, you said you were frustrated, but you expected to get hit, and that's just kind of how short track racing is. Why is that code, I guess, acceptable at a short track like that, but not necessarily here? Because if you get hit in the final turn here, it's going to be kind of like an incident,
Because there's that respect code that we have in the garage here. We have to race each other every week. I think on that level, you get, especially I'd say that race last night, you had a bunch of guys that some never raced against each other. So, hey, I ain't got to see this guy next week, so I'm going to just knock him out of the way, and it's vice versa. The promoter in me loved that finish. That was perfect. That's what I wanted to see. But, it's tough to say. There was no disappointment because I knew I was not going to win that race. I'd never won a race there, and the story continues. I still haven't won a race there. So I mean, it's just I think it's just on the local level. We don't have to see each other as much as we do here on the Cup size. We're living next door to each other on, weekends and seeing each other in the garage quite a bit. So I think it's just the respect factor is a little bit different on the higher levels than what it is on the lower levels. And I think it's just guys on the lower level, too. They're racing for that money. They got to make it to the next week, And I think it's just hard-nosed grind racing. That's just part of it. And I think it's slowly, though, starting to work its way in the Cup Series. I mean, I don't think you're seeing guys getting fired up and things like that in the Cup Series, whether it be, Gordon and Kenseth at Martinsville or what have you. But it's sooner or later, when this becomes more common, it's going to be somewhat accepted.
The guys like that who are unknown, they got a Cup star there, an opportunity to move them out of the way. I mean, aren't they going to kind of jump on that?
That's a story they can tell. That's the story they can tell. I mean, I'm sure right now he's waking up smiling, knowing, he had Tony Stewart right behind him and me right in front of him, knocked me out of the way, got the win, and beat Tony to the line. So it's a great story for him, and that's I can't say I would be any different if I was in that same situation.
All right, two more questions. Jim Utter and Jay. Took his question? Think of another one, Jim. Hurry.
I'm not trying to get you to pick sides. However, if you'd like to, that's quite all right. What do you make about this Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson stuff that's been going on the last 2 weeks? I mean, you have a kind of outside view, but you also have somewhat of a vested interest in being someone who is likely to be contending for them for a championship.
Well, the competitor in me, trying to beat both of them, thinks that I think they've been calling each other's names behind their backs, so they should continue to just run into each other. But I don't know. I think it's just the competitive side. I think just from the outside looking in, and I don't know anything about the internal part, I think that Jeff's frustrated he hadn't won in a while. People are putting pressure on him that he hasn't won in a while, and he had the best car and had a better car than Jimmy. Maybe most races this year. Jimmy has 3 wins, he has 0. So I don't think he wants to feel like he's uphanded, outdriven by Jimmy. And everyone in the Cup Series knows Jeff has still got it, and he's still going to win some races. So I think it's just the frustration factor. Why Jimmy would be mad at Jeff, I don't know. So I think it's just they race each other hard, and I think it's a team thing too. It's no different if me and Kyle were running 1-2 like those guys are every single week. I'm sure we would probably be in the same situations, and we would be running into each other as well, because you always want to be not only the best on the racetrack, you want to be the best of your team. You always want to be the leading team guy, and I think the 48's had that title for a little while. 24 wants it.
Final question.
What's that? Would you like to give us any of those secret names that we can say behind the back? No, I'll leave it up to them. They can sell it on the track.
Final question. Go ahead.
Jay Pennell with front stretch and all left turns. Kind of following up, remove the who's mad at who. we've seen Jeff obviously racing Jimmy a lot harder. Have you had to change the way that you've raced Jimmy Johnson? You know, after getting beat over the last 4 years, you entered the season the favorite. You know, do you race him the same as you did, you know, the last 4 years, or have you had to change something about how you go after him?
I think everyone probably races Jimmy a little bit different. Obviously, when you have someone that has the success that he's had and won all the races as he had, people get tired of it and they don't want to give you anything, and that's where the road to 2 in a row, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, maybe going 5, whatever, that is tough because people are going to just try that much harder to beat you, and they're going to give you less and less. And that's what's been most impressive about each championship is I know every single year people will race him a little bit harder. And this year's going to be no exception. And it's just something he's going to have to deal with, even though he may not rough anyone up on the racetrack, and he's never done it to me. I'm still going to race him really, really hard simply because I'm trying to take his spot in the sport. So it's just part of the business and something he's going to just have to understand, that people are going to race him harder because he does have success. I think so. I mean, I think he's clean enough to where no one's really had a reason to retaliate to the 48. So he's just flat out beats you straight up.
Thank you, Denny. Very much luck this weekend. Appreciate it.